Here at Trax, we care. We care about the environment. We care about the ozone layer. We care about bunnies and trees and stuff as well. But mostly, we care about you, our loyal viewers. And we care a lot about your ATVs. We also hope you're a lot like us, riding non-stop and racking up big miles on whatever four-wheeled conveyance you have at your disposal. With these thoughts and feelings in mind, and because we care so much, we thought we'd take this opportunity to remind you about some late season maintenance items you may be neglecting or forgetting altogether. Probably the easiest items to visually inspect on your ATV, and definitely the ones that take the most abuse, are the tires. Have you ever stopped to consider what life must be like for a 25-inch Carlisle radial tire? It's not pretty. So take the opportunity to give your tires a good once over, more than once in a while. Look for obvious things like excessive tread wear, cuts or rips in the outer carcass, missing lugs, or things like nails or thorns in the body of the tire. Then, take a closer look for things like cracks or bubbles. Tires wear out from use, but they can also weather and deteriorate over time before the tread itself is gone. A weather-checked tire is more likely to fail when you need it most than one that's simply worn out. Some ATVs have greaseless bushings in places like A-arms, swing arm, and spindle pivot points. Other ATVs have greasable fittings. If your ATV has bushings, use a jack to get the wheels off the ground and give the suspension a little bit of a wiggle. If it wiggles more than just a little bit, it's time for some new bushings, and replace them now before all that extra movement starts to wear out parts that are not replaceable and that cost a lot more money. If your ATV has grease zerks, grab your grease gun and give them a top up. I'm always surprised at just how little grease is usually in there. Bushings and grease fittings are something you should check even more often if you ride a lot in mud or water. Now that you're done groveling in the dirt, you can stand up and take off your seat. Internal combustion engines need fresh air to breathe. The fresher the air, the faster they go. Your air filter is what keeps fresh air flowing into the motor even when conditions get sloppy. But like any filter, they eventually get clogged up. Once the filter's fully dirtified, you lose performance and run the risk of the filter failing and letting contaminated O2 into your engine. And just so we're clear, that is bad. Honestly, how long does it take to pop the top off your airbox and give your air filter a little tickle to see if it needs cleaning? Not very long, so you really have no excuse to skip this step. If it's dirty, clean it. Your manual should tell you how, or when in doubt, I bet you can probably find a how-to video on YouTube. Most filters are cleaned the same way. If they can't be cleaned, they can be replaced. Many also have pre-filter covers that can be cleaned or replaced. And now we get to what is likely the hardest part of what we're calling your mid-season maintenance check, but what should really be an ongoing routine if you care as much about your ATV as we do. Your ATV lives and dies by its fluids. Just like your body, if the fluids are low or contaminated with gunk, your motor will either run poorly or die altogether. Checking your fluids is something your manual can give you more specific directions on, but in general, the process goes something like this. With the motor warmed up, take off your side panel and have a look at your coolant overflow bottle. If the fluid is sitting somewhere between the low and full lines, you're good. If it's low, fill it up. Next, find your engine oil dipstick. If your oil's used up, it will be gray or brown in color and can feel gritty or slimy. If it is done, change it or get your dealer to change it. This isn't an area you want to cheap out on. If your oil's simply low but in good condition, just top it up. These 4 areas of maintenance aren't too scary or technical. If you have enough technical understanding to ride your ATV, you have enough to check these things over a few times a year. By staying on top of these things and checking them more often than just midway through or later on in the season, you can identify and very likely avoid major problems that could cost you lots of cash and keep you off the trail.